Less than 6 weeks till President-elect Trump takes office. Our next guest joined the Senate DOGE caucus and met recently with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, and join us now to talk about what kind of spending he thinks should be cut and would make sense. Florida Senator Rick Scott. It's been a while, Senator. Good to have you on. Did a big re-election.
It was great to talk to you, Joe. This is exciting. This is an exciting time.
I guess if you just read the headlines, there's a couple of issues that keep coming up, Senator. Number one is what you can do with executive orders and what DOGE will actually have the ability to do, I guess, number one. And then how much of the federal deficit or budget is stuff that you can't do anything about because it's already done. And the discretionary is so small, the numbers like trillions, it's hard to imagine how you would do that. Are those preconceptions wrong? Misconceptions?
Oh, absolutely. So as a business guy, what always frustrated me was just the regulatory environment, the permitting environment of all government, local, state, and federal. So first off, what Alon and Vivek are going to do is basically what I did when I became governor of Florida. I reduced the regulatory environment. That actually is going to have a bigger impact on job creation, business success, things like that, than anything else we do. Taxes are important, fees are important, but actually the cost of the regulations. Just in Biden's 4 years, the cost of federal regulation has gone up by something like $2.6 trillion. We only have a $28 trillion economy. So number one is we're going to reduce the regulatory environment. We're going to make it easier to get permits. That's going to have a pretty big impact on our economy. Number two is we've had a 2% increase in our population in the last 5 years and a 53% increase in spending. That's not Medicare. That's not Social Security. That's just wasteful government spending. Everything under the sun got spent the last 4 years. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go through each department like you do in a business. Like I did when I was governor. There's 4,000 lines of the budget in Florida. I went through every line and say, could we do this less expensively? And we're going to find ways to do that. We're not going to cut Medicare benefits. We're not going to cut Social Security. We might figure out a way to provide health care at a more efficient way and less cost. It shouldn't cost what it costs. I used to be in that business. It should never cost what it costs in this country. But I'm excited. We're going to see reduced regulation, easier permitting, and we're going to reduce the deficit. My goal, of course, is always to balance the budget. I did it as governor of Florida. We can do it federally, but we've got to work at it.
Do you think that, I mean, there's so much included in talking about this, and do you think the ACA is fixable and that stays? Do you think the president-elect has, he talks about repeal and replace with what?
Well, what I think the way you have to think about it is you have to say, how can we provide health care so Americans can afford it, have access to it? It shouldn't be, we don't have to worry about what our existing laws are. We have to just say to ourselves, what would you do to make it more efficient? There's efficiencies in every industry in the country, including healthcare, and we've got to figure out how to do that, and it's all doable. I had to do it in business. We will do it in government too.
Will you be able to do it?
Look at what Elon has done at SpaceX.
So will DOGE have the ability, the authority to do that? Will you need legislation, and you think you can count on the House if it's got a very small margin for Republicans?
I think, well, first off, it's always hard to reduce the size of government. People always, they love all the spending. But the American public knows that inflation is tied to wasteful government spending. There are so many people engaged in this now around the country that say $36 trillion of debt is too much. $2 trillion deficits is too much. 53% increase in spending when we've only had a 2% increase in our population is too much. So there's going to be a lot of ideas. So I think I'm very excited that we're going to be able to figure a lot of things out. I've been having a lot of meetings with House members, friends of the House, and in the Senate, come up with ways to reduce the waste in government spending.
Do you think, Senator, that all the tax cuts that President Trump talked about, is that doable at the same time that we're trying to deport a lot of illegal immigrants that maybe even if it is just that have committed crimes? Or is it possible to do all things that it seems like a lot of balls in the air?
We're going to secure the border. We're going to make sure we're going to stop the flow of drugs, criminals and terrorists in the country, right? We're going to start enforcing our laws. And then in the meantime, we're going to figure out how to say what should the federal government be involved in, what shouldn't they, what should the states be doing. I mean, this is going to be a very good reset of what our federal government should be doing and what it shouldn't be doing. Americans are fed up. They're fed up with inflation. If you talk to people all around this country, they're sick and tired of everything costing more money. That's caused by wasteful government spending, not living within our means. You have to live within your means. Businesses have to. Your government's going to have to start doing the same thing. It's going to happen, and it's all doable.
I saw Senator Thune talking about, President Trump needs to get all of his appointees confirmed. And I couldn't tell whether he was sort of foreshadowing some recess appointments or not. How do you see that playing out? Who gets in? Will there be any more that, I think you know Matt Gaetz pretty well, but what else happens, in your view?
Well, first off, we're going to get Trump's nominees confirmed, right? And if we have to do recess appointments, I think we'll figure out how to do that. But I think look at his nominees. I mean, Marco Rubio, Pam Bondi from Florida, Mike Waltz, who doesn't have to be confirmed, is going to be National Security Advisor, Susie Wiles from Florida, who's the Chief of Staff. Wonderful people. You look at Pete Hegseth. Here's a guy that's a combat veteran. He knows the risk of sending troops into battle. He's led troops in battle. He knows people that have lost. He knew people that have lost their lives. He knows people that have been injured. That's the type of person we want to run the Department of Defense. So I'm very excited about the Trump nominees. We're clearly going to change the perception. I just got off the campaign trail. People do not trust the federal government right now. This has got to change. They don't trust the FBI. They don't trust the DOJ. They don't trust Homeland Security. We have got to figure out how to bring trust back to the federal government.